Hello, so I'm Pierre from Real Impact. We're located just like a kilometer away from here. We do big data for telco mainly, and we've been writing Spark for 3 years. So Spark was like 06 at that time, and this talk is a little bit about the struggle we had to establish what would be the best way to write Spark apps for our company. A little bit of context. So as I said, we are crunching telco data, and the end game is to provide a tailored application for customers at telco. Examples of that, that's marketing slides, so typically doing a targeted campaigning, for instance, or doing sales and distribution recommendation, and we also have data for good. And we work with typically the major telcos, and you can see some of those guys here on this slide. Now for the interesting part. So what's the story? Real Impact was a service company back in 2012. The guys there were mainly business guys, some data scientists and no developers. And basically they were using off-the-shelf tools like Tableau. Who knows Tableau here? Most of you. So WYSIWYG, easy. Anatella is an ETL, Belgian ETL tool. It's also super easy to use WYSIWYG as well. So they could do all of that without coding. Over 3 years, we pivoted to a product company, and we decided to go full open source to get rid of licenses. And so I had actually the opportunity to choose the stack, and I picked Spark because it was cool. We picked Angular and Node for the front end. And as you can see, the ratio, what the team looks like today is the ratio of the team is much more developers. It's not that we have less data scientists, but they converted to developers, and then we still have business guys. And so you can imagine a few challenges in that transition, and I'm going to focus only on the data pipeline one. So this is, today we have a platform, and I'm not going to go into the details for the sake of brevity tonight, but we have backend, frontend, backend, Spark, and because we do many apps, some of these apps we use some part of the data pipeline logic, and so we want to mix and match what we call data modules in here. So basically, if apps 1 and 2 need some part of it and apps 4 need another part, we need to automatically combine this part of the pipeline. And so that's what I'm going to talk about today is, given what I gave you as the context of people not being developers over 3 years migrating to a more professional developer company, we had to write these data modules using Spark without having coding skills in-house. So that was quite a challenge. And so the journey I'm going to tell you about is how we shifted through 3 paradigms to write Spark applications. The first one was only me basically writing this, was really naive code 3.5 years ago, and was completely hard-coded, far from business. So I had the Spark knowledge, not the business knowledge, and the guys with the business knowledge didn't have any programming, not to mention Spark knowledge. And that was before Spark SQL. So that was a bit crazy, and what happened there, the big event in our life was Spark SQL. And so we decided to go to fully interactive data pipeline edition, and we created something that we call the dataflow editor that allowed, again, WYSIWYG edition of dataflows. And finally, we realized that it was a bit too much, not really possible to version the code, that's not really coding, so we could not do unit tests, we could not version the code, we could not collaborate easily. So we went back to something in between, which you cannot see, which is basically writing code, but with the benefits of the visualization. So, hard-coded data flows. I was writing pure Spark RDDs, as I said, no Spark SQL. And business people would look at us like, what are you doing? This seems really far from business. And we were looking at business guys like, oh, guys, we're never gonna be able to understand each other, so we need something else. And so we moved to a data flow editor. The first thing we did is build the data flow engine in Scala and Spark that allowed the user to define JSON data flows and to run it directly on Spark, on a cluster. And here's a little video about what it looked like. Do I what? Sorry?
The sound.
There's no sound. So basically, it's a visual ETL completely on Spark. And the business guys were able to click and drag, produce their data flows, get a sample of, at any point of the data flow, getting a sneak peek at the data, some expressivity, being able to write expressions using UDFs, UDAFs. They were able to do all of that without having to care about coding in Scala, not having to care about what's Spark, what's a Spark cluster, what are the DevOps matters that I should care about, etc.
It's one fast business user.
Yeah, I had 10 minutes, and so it was initially a 3-minute video reduced to 1 minute. So yeah, this is basically the basic feature you would expect a visual tool. Unfortunately, as I said, we realized this was not really something we wanted to keep doing because of we wanted to do code, we wanted to have unit tests, we wanted to make it more robust. And so what we decided to do yeah, that was cool. Yep. So we decided to go back somewhere in between. And so today what we do is we write what we call data modules, and these are self-contained units of the pipelines. We can mix and match them because we can declare dependency among them. We create a DAG of data modules to create a full data pipeline. Of course, we didn't throw away everything, so we recycled the data flow engine, which was behind the data flow editor you've just seen, but we drive it with code, not with JSON. So we're able to version it, to test it, etc. So we created a DSL to declare the data flows, a cool DSL to do a proper unit test on data flows. We created an SBT plugin to handle all the DevOps-related tasks. And then we do automatic orchestration of the full pipeline with Airflow. Anyone knows Airflow here? Yeah, some? Okay. So, without going into the detail, basically today we write something like that, which is the equivalent of the visual ETL, where we write transformations and we connect them together. We're able to easily test them with a DSL, which we can probably not read, but the picture here is illustrating. We have a DSL expressing that given this input, I expect that result at this output of that box. So that's really convenient. And we have automated orchestration with Airflow, and as you can see, sometimes the pipeline can get quite complex. So, yeah. And to conclude, we still wanted to have a visual way to see what we do in our code, and so we created something we that is an exploration tool for data flow. And I'm going to conclude with this small demo. So again, you cannot really see because of the contrast, but so that was an SBT shell, and the user just needs to type Explorer, and there's a visual tool that pops up that allows him to explore what the code is just written. So he's been declaring a data module, which takes some parameters, business logic, etc. In the data module, we have a manifest declaring what are the inputs, outputs, what's the documentation, and then finally we can see the flow, and we can explore what's going on in the data pipeline. So we can get a sample at any point in the data flow, and that's very useful to debug and to have a quicker development cycle. So yeah, these are the three approaches we took over 3 years, and today we settled with this, and we're quite happy with this. I'm happy to take questions if you have some after.
Excellent.